Good morning, everyone. Yesterday, we have learned Kirchhoff's laws, and we also saw how we can apply Kirchhoff's laws to find the unknown currents through different parts of the circuit. Now, today, what we are going to do is we will apply both Kirchhoff's current law and voltage law in order to derive the principle of Wheaton's bridge. For that, let us first see what is meant by Wheaton's bridge. Have you learned about Wheaton's bridge before?
No, teacher.
Okay, so let us see what is meant by Wheaton's bridge. So a Wheaton's bridge consists of 4 resistors that are connected in the shape of a diamond with a supply voltage. Here you can see 4 resistors. This resistance P, Q, R and S are 4 resistors which are connected, and there is a supply voltage connected across 2 of them. And there is a galvanometer which is connected like this. It need not be always in the shape of a diamond, whatever be the shape. If there are 4 resistances and there is a voltage source across 2 of them, then you can call it a Wheaton's bridge. So this is how a Wheaton's bridge looks like.
So there should be 4 only, right?
Yes, there will be 4 resistors. And suppose if there is one resistance additional to this, if there is a resistance in series along with P, then P plus that resistance will act as 1 arm. It is fine. Also, suppose there is one resistance parallel to Q, then P and Q parallel effective will act as 1 arm. So there should be at least 4 arms. Okay, and each arm will have a effective resistance. And here you can see one of them is shown with the arrow mark. What does that mean?
The direction of the current.
No.
It's a variable resistor.
Mark over the resistance.
Well, yes,
it's a variable resistance.
Yes, it is a variable resistance. So if there is resistances like this in 4 arms, we may vary one of the resistances and make the current flowing through the galvanometer as 0. What is galvanometer? What is called galvanometer?
The meter which is used to measure the current, flow of current.
Yeah, it is a device that is usually used to know whether there is current in the circuit or not. It is not usually used to measure the current, but it can be used to identify whether there is current. So here I have shown a picture of a galvanometer. See, here the pointer reads 0, which means there is no current. Now, if there is current flowing through the circuit and if this galvanometer is connected to it, what happens is it will either deflect to this side or to the other side. This pointer, which is a straight line now pointing towards 0, if it deflects either to this side or to that side, it means a current is flowing through this galvanometer. So this Wheaton's bridge arrangement is said to be balanced if no current flows through the galvanometer, and the galvanometer current Ig represents the current through the galvanometer is equal to 0. If there is no current flowing through the galvanometer, then this is called the principle of Wheaton's bridge. P resistance for one arm, R resistance for another arm, Q is the resistance for this arm, and S is the resistance for this arm. So when no galvanometer current is flowing, then P by R will be equal to Q by S. So you will have to memorize this formula. P by R is equal to Q by S. Up by down is equal to up by down, whatever be the value of resistances here. Okay, so this formula is easy to memorize, right? If it is represented in a diamond shape, if these 4 arms containing resistances are in a diamond shape, it is easy to memorize. P by R is equal to Q by S. So this is called the principle of Wheaton's bridge. Now with this equation, if you know any 3 of the resistance, you can calculate the 4th one, which is unknown, right? Therefore, this Wheaton's bridge is used to find the unknown resistance very precisely by comparing it with the known value of resistances, which means the other 3 values, if it is known, you can calculate using this principle, the unknown value. Now, I will show you on the whiteboard how we can derive this principle of Wheaton's bridge using Kirchhoff's current and voltage law. So let me just stop sharing the screen and you can look at the whiteboard. Can you see the whiteboard now?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Fully? Can you see the whiteboard fully now? I hope yes.
Yes,
So
teacher.
what we are going to do now is we are using Kirchhoff's current law and voltage law in order to derive the principle of Wheaton's bridge. So let me first draw a Wheaton's bridge here. So there should be 4 resistances connected in the form of a bridge. There are 4 arms. So, and there will be voltage applied across 2 of those. And there will be a galvanometer connected across them. So this is a Wheaton's bridge arrangement. And let me name these resistance as P, Q, R, and S. And suppose the current flowing through the whole circuit is I. Now reaching this junction, which I name as A, this as B, this as C, and this as D. You can name, you can give whatever name you want. I use small letters not to confuse with the capital letters we use for resistances. Okay. So here I is the current coming here. When it reaches A, it splits into 2. I1 and I2. Okay. And when it reaches here, I1 again will split into 2. Let me name the current going through galvanometer as IG. And the current going through the resistance R, let it be I3. And IG will come here, I2 is coming here. So from here, both together will go through this resistance. Let me name it I4. Okay. Then I3 and I4 will join together at the junction D and it will go together again as I. Is this clear to you, the figure? Wheaton's bridge?
Yes, teacher.
Yeah. So I have drawn a Wheaton's bridge. And
Teacher?
now, in order to derive the principle of Wheaton's bridge, let me first apply Kirchhoff's current law to junction or node A. So let me first apply Kirchhoff's current law to node A. Can any one of you, Khadija, can you apply Kirchhoff's law here, current law? South is talking. South, can you tell me what will be current law applied here?
I1 plus I2 equals to I.
I1 plus I2 equal to I, right? So I can write here I is equal to I1 plus I2 because I is entering the junction, I1 and I2 are leaving the junction. Now this is one equation. Okay, now let me apply Kirchhoff's law to the junction B. KCL to junction B. Okay, what is the current coming here? I1. I3 and IG are leaving, right? So can Khadija tell me now the Kirchhoff's current law applied to junction B? Khadija, can you tell me?
I3 I3 plus IG
I3 plus IG
equals to I.
equal to I1. I1 is entering the junction.
I1.
So equal to I1. So I can write I1 is equal to I3 plus IG. So let this be equation 2. Now I am applying Kirchhoff's current law again to junction C. KCL to junction C. Irfan, you should tell me. First, what are the currents entering here?
This IG plus I4
IG is entering.
plus I4. Yeah.
I4 is leaving
Okay. So
the junction.
IG plus I2.
I2 is entering.
Yeah. IG plus I2.
Yeah. IG plus I2 is
I2.
equal to I4. So we have got these three equations. Now let me apply Kirchhoff's voltage law to this loop. A, B, C, A. So KVL, I am applying Kirchhoff's voltage law to the loop A, B, C, A. So when I go from A, I1P. P is the resistance. So I1P, and let us take the galvanometer resistance as G. So R plus IgG, and when I reach here, I am going in a direction opposite to I2. So minus I2Q.
Teacher,
Yes.
can you say what happened in the junction C?
In junction C, see, you can see I2 current is coming here. I2 is coming here. IG is coming here. I4 is leaving. So IG and I2 are entering the junction while I4 is leaving the junction. So I have written IG plus I2 is equal to I4. Is it clear, Hasina?
Yes.
Okay. Now we are applying voltage law to the loop A, B, C, A. So I am starting from A. I1P plus IgG minus I2Q. Why minus?
Opposite
The
direction.
direction is opposite.
Yes, current is in opposite direction. I2Q is equal to 0. The loop finished. There is no voltage source here. So this is all. Now let me take this as equation number 4. Then I am again applying Kirchhoff's voltage law to the other loop, this loop. So let me take this loop here. Starting from maybe B, D, C, B. B, D, C, B. Okay. So starting from here, B. So I3R minus I4S, because the loop is going opposite to I4, minus IgG, because the loop is going opposite to IG. Is it clear? So I can write this loop equation as I3R minus I4S minus IgG is equal to 0. This is equation number 5. Now, suppose we vary the resistance in such a way that the galvanometer current is equal to 0. This is called the balanced condition or the equilibrium condition of the galvanometer. When no current is flowing through the galvanometer. In that case, what will happen? All of this I1 current will flow as I3. Okay, so we have here I1 from equation 2, Ig is equal to 0. So I can write equation 2 as, equation 2 becomes what? Equation 2 will become I1 is equal to I3. Is it clear? Because Ig is equal to 0.
Yes,
Balanced condition. And what will happen to equation 3? I4 will become equal to I2 because Ig is equal to 0. So I can write equation 3 will become I4 is equal to I2. So we got these two current equations when the Wheaton's bridge is balanced. Okay. Now let us see what will happen when Ig is equal to 0 for equation 4 and equation 5. What will happen to equation 4? What will happen to equation 4?
I1P equal to I2Q.
Yes, because IgG 0 minus I2Q go to the other side. So it will become, equation 4 will become what? I1P is equal to I2Q. Okay. And equation 5 will become what? IgG becomes 0. Ig is 0. So
I3R is equal to I4S.
I4S. So I3R is equal to I4S. Okay. So let me take equation 4 and equation 5. Okay. So what is P by Q? P by Q is equal to I2 by I1 from equation 4. So this will become P by Q is equal to I2 by I1. And this equation will become R by S is equal to I4 by I3. So R by S is equal to I4 by I3. But you know that I1 is equal to I3. So I can write this as equal to I4 is equal to I2. So I2 by I1. Is this correct? Is this clear to you? How I4
Yes,
by
teacher.
I3 I wrote as I1 by I2?
Yes, teacher, got it.
Okay. So P by Q is I2 by I1. R by S is also I2 by I1. So from these two equations, I can write that P by Q is equal to R by S. That is the principle for Wheaton's bridge. Is it clear?
Yes, teacher, clear.
Teacher, I didn't understood the R by S one.
What? Yeah. You can also write it as, you didn't understand R by S? I
Yes.
Can
didn't
you
hear the
also say P
question
by
clearly.
Q?
Okay, let
Can
me
you
tell
explain
this.
from after equation 5?
From equation 5, if I take
Yes.
S to this side, this will become R by S. And if I take I3 to the other side, it will become I4 by I3. Okay? So I have written R by S is equal to I4 by I3. But you know that I4 is equal to I2 and I3 is equal to I1. So I4 by I3 I wrote as I2 by I1 because I4 is I2 and I3 is I1. So P by Q is I2 by I1, R by S is also I2 by I1. So I can write P by Q is equal to R by S. Is it clear now? How from equation
Yes,
4 we
teacher.
got this one?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is how we can derive the Wheaton's bridge principle from Kirchhoff's current law and voltage law. So do you want me to take a picture of this? Or it's in the video, right? So this is how we can derive the Wheaton's bridge principle. And now we will just for familiarizing the use of this equation, we will solve some numerical problems given in your textbook. So take page number 198 of your textbook. Page number 198 of your textbook. And there is a numerical example question given there, 3.26. Did you take that paper?
Teacher, can you say the page number again?
Page number 198, numerical example 3.26. Okay. Let me read the question. There are 16 ohm, 18 ohm, 10 ohm and 60 ohm resistances in 4 ohms of a Wheaton's bridge. So let me first draw that Wheaton's bridge. So there are 4 resistances. It is not shown with the figure, but the question is pretty clear. So we can assume there is a Wheaton's bridge, and they have given in the question 16 ohm, then 18 ohm, then 10 ohm and 60 ohm. At this point, I would like to bring to your notice in the question that they have given 16 ohm, but for calculation, they have used only 6 ohm. If you use 16 ohms, the calculation will become more complex. You cannot do that without the help of a calculator. So, change in the question there itself, cut that question and change it to 6 ohm. It should be 6 ohm for the calculation to be simpler, and they have used in the solution 6 ohm itself. So make that change in your textbook. It should be 6 ohm. The first resistance should not be 16 ohm, it should be 6 ohm. Now, find how and what value of resistance is to be connected with the 4th arm of the bridge to bring it in equilibrium, which means to this resistance, you will have to connect another resistance. It can be connected either in series or parallel. They have asked how you should connect the resistance in order to bring this to equilibrium. At equilibrium, what will be the condition?
0. G equals to 0.
What Ig will be equal to 0. So at equilibrium, if Ig is equal to 0, what is the principle of Wheaton's bridge?
X by 18 equals to 10 by 6.
What is the principle of Wheaton's bridge?
P by Q equal to R by S.
P by Q is equal to R by S. So here they have already a 60 ohm, but let us find out what will be the value of S if it is in equilibrium, because the question is what value of resistance we will have to connect here and in which way in order to bring this to equilibrium. So I'm not taking S as 60 now. I will put S as S itself and find out how much it is. Okay. So for P, let me substitute 6 divided by Q, 18 is equal to R, 10 by 6. Okay. So we have to find what should be the resistance there in order to bring the circuit to equilibrium. So S is equal to, when I take S up and 6 down, 18 to this side. So this will become S is equal to 10 times 18 divided by 6. Is this clear to you? You are familiar with such calculations, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is equal to 180 by 6. What is 180 by 6?
30.
30. 18 by 6 is 3 with the 0. So the resistance at this position should be 30 ohms. How can we make the 60 ohm resistance 30 ohm? How can we make the 60 ohm resistance 30
By
ohm?
keeping it another resistor with a parallel with this one.
Yes, excellent. You have to connect another 60 ohm resistance parallel to it. Okay. For example, for others, I think it was Muhammad Jaman who told, maybe other students have still a doubt how he got the answer. Suppose you have two resistances, 4 ohm, 4 ohm. What will be the effective resistance?
8.
8 ohm. Because when they are connected in series, the effective resistance Rs is equal to R1 plus R2. 4 plus 4, that is equal to 8 ohm. Okay. Now, suppose this two 4 ohm resistance I have connected in parallel. 4 ohm, 4 ohm. If I have connected them in parallel, what will be the effective resistance?
2.
2. How did you get it? We
1
know
by
that
4 plus 1 by 4.
RP is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R1, R2, right? So here it is 1 by 4 plus 1 by 4, which is equal to 2 by 4 or 1 by 2. 1 by RP is 1 by 2, so RP is equal to 2. So if two resistors are connected in parallel and if they are of the same value, what will happen? Their resistance will become just half. That is why Muhammad Jaman told here, you have to connect a 60 ohm resistance parallel to it. That's right. Or with calculation, I can just show that 30 should be the answer, right? So let me consider 1 by RP. To reduce, you have to connect something in parallel. That is understood. So 1 by RP is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2. RP, the parallel resistance, I am considering as 30. So 1 by 30 should be equal to 1 by, one of the resistance which already exists here is 60 plus 1 which is unknown. We don't know how much we have to connect. Then we have 1 by R2 is equal to 1 by 30 minus 1 by 60. To make the denominator same, let me multiply here 2 on both sides. So it will become 2 by 60 minus 1 by 60, which is equal to 1 by 60. So the unknown resistance is equal to 60 ohm and should be connected parallel. Is this clear to you? All of you?
Yes,
Muhammad
teacher.
Jaman, be silent. I want others to tell. Is
Yes,
it clear
teacher,
to
it's
you,
clear.
Khadija?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so let us go to the next topic. There are one more problem which you can try by yourself. Okay, so let me go to the
Teacher?
next topic. Yes.
Teacher, I have a doubt here. You
Yes.
see, the resistance was connected in the parallel, right? What if we remove the 60 ohm resistance and we add 30 ohm
The
resistance?
question is how much resistance is to be connected and in which way? They don't give a chance for you to remove the 60 ohm resistance and connect a new one. They have asked you how much resistance is to be connected to that 60 ohm and in which way. Okay? Irfan, is
Yeah,
that
teacher,
clear?
understood now. Yes, teacher.
So you cannot tell that we will remove that 60 ohm and connect 30 ohm. You have to show which way you can change that 60 ohm to 30 ohm. That is by connecting another 60 ohm resistance parallel to it.
Yes, teacher. It's clear.
So can we do the next problem as well, because there is no time to start the next topic. We will do that tomorrow. So the next page, page number 199, you can see numerical example 3.27, which is similar one. So in page number 199, you have numerical example 3.29. 27. Okay. South, read the question.
Teacher, that's a mistake, I guess. Same mistake.
Is there a
4
mistake?
ohm.
Yeah, the second arm will be 18 ohm. They wrote 8 ohm.
It will be 18. No, I don't think so.
Because
Read the
in
question.
its, oh, sorry. In the here it's given. See, in the like given part, they wrote resistance in the second term 18. So I got confused.
Yeah, maybe. But I think the question is correct. Can you read the question?
4 ohm, 8 ohm, 12 ohm, and 16 ohm are connected with 4 arms of Wheatstone bridge respectively.
Yes.
Find how and what value of the resistance need to be connected in the fourth arm of the bridge to bring it in equilibrium.
Equilibrium. So which formula will we use here? The same.
P by Q is equal to R by S.
Yeah. P by Q is equal to R by S. So we will put the values of P, Q and R, and we won't put the value of S. Instead, find out how much it should be in order to bring the circuit to equilibrium. So 4 by 8 is equal to 12 by S. And by cross multiplying, you have S is equal to 12 times 8 divided by 4. Okay, so I can cancel 4 here. This is 2 times, so 2 times 12 is 24. So how can we change the 16 ohms to 24 ohms? Keep quiet, Jaman. Rifat, tell me, how can we change 16 ohm to 24 ohms? Okay, Ronnie, tell me. Yes. Yes, Rifat.
By doing teacher S1 plus S2.
Yes, you have to add. Add means how you should connect the resistance in parallel or series.
Series.
Series. So how much we have to add? So you have the total resistance S should be equal to S1 plus S2. You are right. S we will take 24 is equal to S1 you have 16 plus S2, or S2 is equal to 24 minus 16. What is that?
8 ohm.
8 ohm. So the answer is you have to connect 8 ohm resistance in series. Is that clear to you?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. So we will do the next topic in the next class. So I hope you are clear what is meant by Wheatstone's bridge and how we derive the principle for Wheatstone's bridge. So remember, there is a test on Monday. So you have to practice all theory of this chapter and also the numerical problems. Once I finish this chapter, maybe tomorrow, we can solve the questions in which you have doubt. Okay.
Teacher, what about the suggestion book?
I don't have the suggestion book. Do you have?
But we have, yeah, I can give you the PDF of this.
Okay, then do one thing. Share in WhatsApp with me the suggestion book. I don't have it.
Okay.